Hey everybody, John from PSI here with another edition of our FAQ series. Today's question is, what do we do with this? That. Seriously guys, the real question is, why should I run a standalone wiring harness and not just rework my factory harness? Well, let's get into it. So what I have here is a harness that we got with a junkyard 2018 Camaro LT1. This harness was obviously cut out of the vehicle. It came with the engine. Obviously, we're not going to use it, but this is typical of people when they go to a junkyard or they go to a recycler and try to get an engine and transmission. And the auto salvage yard is going to tell you, hey, we're giving you the wiring, it's good value, blah, blah, blah. And you think right away like, oh, great, I'm getting something extra that I can use. And nothing can be further from the truth, at least not in its current existence. So really when you're looking at these factory harnesses, they kind of boil into three categories. They boil down to the quality of the harness themselves, the age of the harness, and then the overall value of the harness. So we'll start with the quality of the harness. As I stated, this was cut out. These harnesses are laid out from the factory for production line fitment. What makes the most sense and what's the quickest on the production line for this harness to be plugged into the vehicle? That does not just mean the engine and the transmission. That means chassis functions, body functions, could be airbag functions, cooling system, headlights, radio, it doesn't matter what it is. If they're trying to get energy or power from point A to point B and it made sense to throw it in this harness, they threw it in this harness. Obviously in a swap, if you're putting this into a Chevelle or a square body or an OBS, most of that wiring you don't need, nor do you want it. So the first thing you're going to end up doing is ripping into this harness and trying to figure out what you need and what you don't need. So that kind of boils into the whole quality side of it. The other thing to keep in mind is you have extra connectors here that were more bulkheads that went to other areas of the vehicle. Some of these power wires aren't fused because the fuses were somewhere else, maybe in the passenger compartment of the vehicle, maybe in the trunk. You have no idea until you start digging into it. The last thing about the quality is the connectors themselves. Not only will these be affected by the age or how many times they were installed and removed, but let's say you have you pulled this out of a van, and the van had a certain type of throttle pedal on it, but you want to use a Corvette throttle pedal. Well, the connector may be different, and the wiring pinout might be different. So that brings you back to square one, which is you're going to have to go source that connector, you're going to have to source the information, and you're going to have to figure out how to wire it up. So right there, that kind of boils into the whole quality side of things. Now let's talk about age. Again, this is coming out of a junkyard. Typically, you do not know when that car entered the junkyard. You don't know why it entered the junkyard. It could have been on fire. Could have been in a big accident. Who knows? Could have had many repairs done to it by multiple mechanics over the course of its lifetime before it made it to the junkyard. So there are a lot of unknowns there when it comes to the wiring. The engine, it's kind of easy to tell those things. But when it comes to the wiring, there are a lot of wires in this thing that have a lot of different functions. And not knowing the history behind it really sets you up for failure. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the value. So the two things as far as value are concerned is tech support and time. So not only tech support after you install a harness, but before you install a harness. In the cases of a standalone harness, you're going to get exactly what you ask for. If you have a 2018 Camaro, you left the stock intake manifold on it, you're using a Corvette pedal, you're using this specific transmission, the standalone harness from PSI is going to give you everything specifically that you need. This harness, you're going to have to tailor to meet your requirements. So to compare with what I just showed you in the factory 2018 Camaro harness, what we have here is the equivalent Gen 5 LT1 PSI standalone harness. Now again, we'll boil it down to quality, age, and value. Okay, so from a quality standpoint, it's all brand new. There is no history on this harness. It is brand new. It's made in the USA. It's made with all GM Delphi connectors, TXL, high temp automotive grade wire. If there are any splices in here for circuits, they are sonic welded. Everything is loomed cleanly in a high temp TechFlex type loom. and everything comes out exactly where it needs to be. So this wasn't designed with a vehicle production in mind where it's just how quickly can I install the harness on the vehicle so I can keep the production line moving. This was designed and laid out for your swap. It was designed and laid out so everything that isn't related to the engine and transmission comes through the firewall and gets installed under the dash. Super clean, nice install, connectors come out exactly where they need to be, and you're wired up and you're fired up. It's that simple. Additionally, when it comes to quality, we Cirrus test all of these, so they're automatically tested. All the crimps are crimped on a machine. You have a pre-terminated fuse relay center. The fuse relay center has all your circuits fused correctly. It's got your relays in here, and it allows you to do a simple 4-wire hookup. Switch power to a key ignition source on your chassis harness, constant power at the big lug of your starter, where your battery wire goes, and then 2 separate grounds to the back of the cylinder heads. That's it. There are some additional wires in here for your underdash wiring, for fan controls, for check engine light, and those types of things. You got your pedal wiring, give you enough length of pedal wiring to get it to where you need to mount the pedal on the driver's footwell. And it's totally plug and play, unlike the original factory harness. The last thing we're going to talk about is the value. Before you order, you're going to talk to our salespeople, or you're going to do it through our website at psiconversion.com. It takes you step by step on what you exactly have so we can configure the harness for what you have. You're not going to go changing sensors that you don't need to change. You're not going to be getting different pedals if you don't need to get a different pedal or a different mass air. We are going to configure it for what you have. After you order it and after you receive it, whether it's a week afterwards or whether it's a year afterwards, we support these products. We have full-time tech support. All our sales professionals are trained in how to install these with common errors that are made during installation or common questions that people have during installation. We have a full FAQ section on our website. We have tons of YouTube videos, and we have GM trained techs that are available over the phone to answer your questions. At the end of the day, we are selling you what we feel is the best value harness on the market. It's not just about high-grade wire, high-quality made in the USA products. It's about supporting those products after they're sold to you. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them, let us know what you think, and always remember, wire it up and fire it up.